girl, barely older than Ada, moved toward the pot and retched, vomiting crisp banknotes into it. Damien's demeanor changed. His eyes turned cold, his smile wicked. "Welcome to your new home," he sneered, shoving her inside. Ada stumbled and fell to the cold floor, the door slamming shut behind her. Her screams were swallowed by the walls, her cries for help unanswered. The room was filled with other girls, ghostly shadows of their former selves. The dark clouds gathered above the city, mirroring the uncertainty that loomed in the heart of a young girl named Ada. At 17, Ada was tired of the modest life she shared with her widowed mother, Mama Ada, who worked tirelessly to make ends meet. Mama Ada often told her, "Ada, trust in God and be patient. Life's true riches come with grace and hard work." But Ada wanted more than the market stall, more than the worn clothes, more than the tiny rented room. So when she met the charming, well-dressed man named Chief Damien with his silver-tongued promises of riches and comfort, she couldn't resist. "You are too beautiful to be struggling like this, Ada," Damien would say. His voice was soothing, like a snake charmer lulling its prey. He handed her wads of cash, more money than Ada had ever seen in her life. He promised her even more if she would join him for a weekend getaway. Damien's eyes sparkled, hiding the darkness of his intentions. Mama Ada's warnings echoed in her mind. Money gained without effort will always cost you more in the end. But Ada pushed aside her mother's concerns, letting the allure of wealth guide her decisions. That night, she left her home without saying goodbye. Damien's house was lavish, tucked away in a remote area, a mansion shrouded by thick woods. Ada marveled at the wealth that seemed to drip from the walls: gold-framed mirrors, velvet curtains, sparkling chandeliers. She didn't notice how each step forward seemed to take her further into darkness. "Ada, you are now part of my family," Damien said, his lips curving into an unsettling smile. He led her to a secluded part of the mansion, where the door seemed heavier than usual as it creaked open, revealing a dimly lit hallway. At the end was a room with thick iron bars. Before she could react, Damien's demeanor changed. His eyes turned cold, his smile wicked. "Welcome to your new home," he sneered, shoving her inside. Ada stumbled and fell to the cold floor, the door slamming shut behind her. Her screams were swallowed by the walls, her cries for help unanswered. The room was filled with other girls, ghostly shadows of their former selves. Ada saw fear in their eyes, their cheeks sunken. In the corner sat a massive pot, its darkness seeming to absorb what little light there was. The other girls whispered, "We send out the money from our mouths to fill it." A girl barely older than Ada moved toward the pot and retched, vomiting crisp banknotes into it. Tears streamed down her face, but her body moved as if possessed under a spell of unimaginable darkness. Ada's heart pounded as she realized the fate that awaited her. She wanted to scream, but terror paralyzed her. Back at home, Mama Ada sensed something was terribly wrong. When she found Ada's room empty, her heart sank. She knew of the dangers lurking for girls like her daughter. She fell to her knees, tears blurring her vision as she prayed fervently. Her cries to God were desperate and raw, coming from the depth of her soul. "God, wherever my daughter is, protect her. Break every chain, destroy every evil hand that holds her. Bring Ada back to me." Mama Ada prayed day and night, seeking divine intervention. She fasted, her frail body sustained only by her faith. The other women in her church joined her, raising their voices as one. In Damien's dungeon, Ada's condition worsened. Her head ached, her stomach twisted painfully as she was forced towards the large pot. Damien's voice echoed through the room. "It's your turn, Ada." His eyes gleamed with malicious delight. Ada could barely breathe. Her lips quivered as she approached the pot, but suddenly a loud crash thundered through the mansion. It was as if the very air had split apart. A wind, unnatural and fierce, swept through the room, blowing out the candles, plunging everything into darkness. Damien stumbled, his confident composure suddenly broken. The other girls clung to one another, their eyes wide with confusion. From somewhere beyond, a voice echoed. A woman's voice, strong and commanding, filled with divine authority. It was Mama Ada. "Release my daughter," her voice boomed, seemingly carried by a power beyond her own. The iron door burst open, as if by an invisible force. The air crackled, and Damien, his face twisted with shock, fell to his knees, covering his ears as if in agony. Ada felt something break inside her, a weight lifted, chains that were unseen suddenly shattered. She ran, her legs weak but her spirit strengthened, moving towards the source of the voice that called her. Mama Ada stood outside the gates of the mansion, her hands raised, her eyes filled with tears but burning with determination. She called on God, unrelenting, her prayers like arrows piercing through the darkness that held her daughter. The gate swung open and Ada emerged, her face pale, her eyes filled with tears. "Mama!" she cried, collapsing into her mother's arms. The warmth of her mother's embrace enveloped her, and for the first time in what felt like an eternity, Ada felt safe. Mama Ada held her daughter close, whispering words of comfort, her prayers now filled with gratitude. The power that had once held Ada captive was broken, shattered by a mother's love and unwavering faith. Damien's mansion was never the same. The girls were freed, the dark power broken, and Damien disappeared, his wealth crumbling as mysteriously as it had appeared. Ada returned home, her heart changed, her eyes opened to the truth of her mother's words. "Mama," Ada said one day, her voice trembling, "I see it now. The wealth that I wanted nearly cost me my soul." Mama Ada smiled, her eyes filled with tears. "My dear child, the love of money can blind us to the truth. True riches lie in love, in family, and in faith." And so Ada learned a powerful lesson that no amount of money could replace the peace that comes from love, from family, and from living a life free from darkness. The scars of her ordeal remained, but they were reminders of the power of her mother's prayers and the God who had never left her side.